Good evening, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday evening. Sorry I'm running late and everything, but better late than never. So, I'm TaNisha, the travel consultant of Urban Chic Travelistas. And tonight, our topic is going to be how to prevent or ease motion sickness while traveling. Um, Now, I can speak for about this from personal experience. I definitely have an issue with motion sickness as much as I travel and everything. Like that is a huge, huge issue for me. Is dealing with motion sickness. Um, so I always have to be cautious of it because any type of mode of transportation that puts me in motion will actually cause me to have really bad motion sickness. Not to the point to where I'm vomiting, but I feel like if I vomit, then I would feel so much better about this. And so it's usually really just a horrible, horrible feeling. And so I don't know how many people out there that's listening has a problem with motion sickness or even children, that have motion sickness in cars or on airplanes and things like that. But that's what I wanted to kind of talk about today. So, if you're unfamiliar what motion sickness is, basically occurs when your brain can't make sense of information sent from your eyes, ears, and body. And so it's lots of motion in a car, an airplane, boat, or even an amusement park ride. And it can make you feel queasy, clammy, or sick to your stomach. And so usually that's what I get. I get very queasy. My stomach starts to hurt really, really bad, and everything. I just feel lightheaded a lot of times. And then some people actually vomit. And, so being car sick, seasick, or air sick that's all motion sickness there. Um, I can't really say that, like when I was little, I never had a problem with motion sickness at all. So this has only happened when I became an adult. And so I don't know exactly what actually set it off, or why I started having motion sickness issues all of a sudden as an adult, and it probably didn't even start until maybe um, I don't know, maybe in my mid 30s. So definitely right, definitely before I took my first plane ride in 2001, but it wasn't as prevalent. So I didn't think much about it, went to a few amusement parks when I was an adult and things like that, but never really got sick from it or from amusement park rides up until maybe the late 90s. It's probably when I first started to experience it, but it wasn't happening as often. So it really wasn't a big deal. Um, so, like I said, I don't know what changed and why it became an issue all of a sudden, but it was. So, so I did a little bit of research so I can bring you guys some information about how to prevent or ease motion sickness and really what causes it and who is more prevalent to having it. And so um, it's estimated 1 in 3 people get motion sickness at some point in their life. And it's more prevalent with women and children from the age of 2 to 12 are most at risk, but anybody can actually get motion sickness. So, some of the factors that increase the chances of getting motion sickness is a family history of motion sickness. It's the hormonal uh, birth control that can cause it, inner ear disorders, uh, Also, just your menstrual periods, which is probably why a lot of women end up, having issues more than obviously men. And then migraines. And so that can actually be, that can increase your chances of having motion sickness. Parkinson's disease, which I did not know. And then also pregnancy. Of course, I did know that. And I used to actually get really, really sick when I was, you know, when I was pregnant with my daughter initially. And so, but, usually when you're pregnant, most women, especially the first trimester, have a lot of issues with throwing up and motion sickness and all sorts of things. So that really didn't surprise me too much about that. Let me kind of get myself together here. Um, so what actually causes motion sickness is that our brains receive signals from motion sensing parts of our body, so our eyes or inner ears, muscles, and joints. And when these parts send conflicting information, your brain doesn't know whether you're stationary or you're moving. And so your brain's confused. Reaction makes you feel sick. And so it's really just kind of all weird, anyways, because I don't know how your brain gets confused and things. I'm not a neurologist, of course, so I really don't know how that all happens. Um, and everything. So, but I guess it's just a mixed signal from your brains and things like that, not knowing exactly what happens and everything. So for some examples of when riding in a car, your eyes see trees that are passing by and register movement, or your inner ear senses movement and everything, or your muscles and joints sense that your body is sitting still. And then also your brain senses a disconnect among these messages as well. And so many actions can trigger motion sickness, as amusement park rides, like I said before, and virtual reality experiences. Uh, and reading while in motion. And so I didn't realize that until I started having a lot of motion sickness issues and started doing a little bit more research because avid reader, always read when I was on trains, buses, airplanes, and things like that. But those are some of the things that could possibly make me feel sick. And then also just watching video games and movies, which I still watch movies, but sometimes I just listen to them and close my eyes. Um, so some of the symptoms of motion sickness is cold sweats, dizziness, fatigue, headaches, irritability, and ability to concentrate, increased saliva, nausea or vomiting, pale skin, and just rapid breathing or gulping for air. So, any type of transportation can cause motion sickness. It can strike suddenly, progressing from a feeling of uneasiness to a cold sweat, dizziness, and vomiting. And it usually quiets down as soon as the motion stops. Now, for me, that is not the case. It takes quite a long time for me to actually, for it to really calm down. So, it can take me, a couple of hours after I've stopped, moving in order for me to actually feel a little bit better. I guess it's just different for everyone on how, when you recover and things like that. Like I said, it's always something that I have to be cautious of, especially when I'm on traveling, because you're literally in a mode of transportation a lot when you're traveling, whether it's a flight. a bus, even like when I was in Ghana, and or no, when I was in Brussels, and you're taking the bus out to the airplane because it wasn't connected to the airport, so we had to take a bus out. It's just all of these things that can cause an issue. So, in order for you to avoid motion sickness, you really do need to plan ahead. And I'll kind of tell you exactly what I do, and I find really helpful. So, when traveling, avoid sitting in seats in the rear of the vehicle or seats that face backwards, and then pick seats where you'll feel motion least. Now, when I was flying back from Ghana this past time, I chose a ticket that I did not choose my seats. That was a huge mistake. Now, going over, it was fine. I was seated like in the middle of the plane. Same thing going to Europe, um, you know, and everything. But and also from Brussels to Ghana, no problems. But when I went to leave Ghana and come back to America, the problem was is that I didn't choose my flight. The flight was almost full. I was actually in the second to the last row, and I felt awful that first leg of the trip. And I actually have my acupuncture wristbands on and everything, but it was awful for that first leg of the trip and things because I was seated in the rear of the plane. So, and really, I didn't even think of it only because I'm never seated in the back of the plane. So, um, I have specific places I like to sit and things. And so I never even thought about it and everything. So if you're traveling by ship, request a cabin that's in the front or the middle of the ship near the water level. So that would be on your big cruise ships and things like that. You want to be a little bit further down. I technically like to be in the middle of the decks and in the middle of the floors and things like that because you don't feel the motion of the cruise ship as much if you are situated in the middle and things. If you're at the in the back or and sometimes in the front to me, then you're gonna feel a lot of the motion and stuff. But if you're in the middle, you'll just feel like you've been lulled to sleep. I'm telling you that cruise ships, to me, you get the best sleep. But and I honestly love interior rooms, to be quite honest. But that's just me. I'm weird like that. I think it's because it's pitch dark in the cabin. There's no windows, and so you can just go to sleep at any time of the day. So I think that's what it is. And so if you're on a boat, so say a ferry or maybe it's a catamaran or a yacht or something like that, you want to sit in the middle of the boat on the upper deck if you can, if there is an upper deck. On planes, ask for a seat over the front edge of the wing and next to a window. So I'm a window seat girl. I'm not an aisle person. I hate being in the middle and things, but typically that's actually where I'm at. I don't sit usually in the front of edge of the wing. I'm usually like right on the back of the wing usually, but I'm always trying to get the window seat if possible. And then once abroad, direct the air vent flow to your face. Now, typically, I don't do that because I don't like to be cold or have the air like on my face and stuff. And then the air is recirculating. So, you know, so I probably don't do that part, but That is a suggestion. So, by train, take a forward facing seat. Now, I always do that. I never sit backwards because I know that that is definitely one of my triggers to make motion sickness happen for me. And so, whatever way that the train is going, then that's the way that I sit and everything. And I always like window seats, like I said. I don't always get window seats, but I usually try to get a window seat. And then by automobile, drive or sit in the front passenger seat. That's one of the things that I definitely try to do and stuff because that makes me feel better. But anytime that I've sat in the back seat of a car, especially having your head down or you're looking at your phone or anything like that, then that tends to cause issues if I'm not wearing like the acupuncture bands or have taken some type of medication. And then with the buses, choose a window seat close to the front. I've also found that the seats that are where your back is facing the is right in front of the windows and things like that. That actually works as well for me, anyways. So, if you are susceptible to motion sickness, um, definitely some of these things can help as well. So, focus on the horizon or on a distant stationary object. So, just kind of fix your eyes on something, and so you're not really thinking about the motion or you moving. And don't read while traveling or use electronic devices. Now, that's kind of hard for me, but I do try to give myself a break and not do too much reading. I do watch movies and stuff, but a lot of times I'll end up falling asleep or just closing my eyes and listening and not necessarily watching the whole thing. Or I'll watch for a little while and then I'll turn it off or pause it and then go to sleep and then, and just kind of do it in doses like that. Keep your head still while resting against a seat back. So recline the seat back if you can, and everything. Don't smoke or sit near someone that smokers, near smokers or anybody that smells like smoke. Also, avoid strong odors and spicy and greasy foods and alcohol. So, and I'll kind of talk about other ideas as far as eating and then, drinking and things like that. You also want to take an over the counter antihistamine. So, Benadryl can be used. Um, I don't particularly like Benadryl because it makes me really drowsy and everything. I've taken it at night before, and the next day I'm still drowsy. So it's not one of the things that I take, but I do take Dramamine if I have to, or something, or different, motion sickness medication if I have to. Now, up until my flight back to Ghana from Ghana to the U.S., I had just been using the acupressure. I say acupuncture, but it's the acupressure wristbands, and I think I actually have one on my desk. Let me see if I. Okay, here's one. You can actually buy these on Amazon, like. Um, so they just look like these little wristbands, and they are a little bit tight, but they're made to do that. And so if I turn this inside out, you'll see like a little bit of a ball. And then what you do is that you actually put your three fingers on your wrist. I don't think you can see. Okay. So you put your three fingers on the wrist. And so that third finger down is basically where that little knob, the little ball, is going to sit. And so all you do is just sit it on your wrist. And then I always put my hand back on like this and just make sure that it's in the proper place. Because if it's not, then you're definitely going to get sick. And then that's it. And so I always have these in my bag and my purse. Anytime I take a Uber or a Lyft, um, boat rides, whatever, I always have a set of these in my possession for any time that I'm in motion, just to make sure that I'm covered. You do have one for each wrist, so it comes in a pair. You can get these anywhere. You can get them in a drugstore, a pharmacy like CVS and Walmart, I mean, Walgreens and things like that. You can get them on Amazon. Like I have a huge packet of these somewhere. Oh, here they are. That I got from Amazon. So you can just buy them. Like I'll probably give some of these to my clients for my hosted trip just in case they need them and things. What I do like about these is that you don't have to take medication all the time, because what happens with Dramamine is high, and so to me it is, and it's not like I'm always traveling. And so by the time sometimes, especially through the pandemic, by the time that it's time for me to use it again, they're expired. And so kind of is kind of a waste of money in some manner. So once I got to JFK for my trip in Ghana, I had to get off and I had to get some Dramamine to calm everything down. I'm just glad that I had a lot of hours just to sit there and to kind of collect myself. So it was much, much better. And plus, I wasn't in the back of the plane on my other two legs coming back. Um, so the also what you can do, and the thing that I typically do on flights, is that when the flight attendants come around and they're giving you something to drink, I always ask for ginger ale. Ginger actually, or ginger supplement, actually helps with motion sickness. And so you can, a ginger supplement combined with like ginger snaps, ginger ales, or candied ginger might help curb nausea. And so definitely try that. And always, if you have motion sickness, always ask for a ginger ale. That helps me the most, especially if I haven't taken Dramamine, if I don't have the acupressure wristbands or something like that, using or if I don't take the Dramamine in time, because you really have to take it about at least 30 minutes before you actually take off or get on whatever mode of transportation you're on. Otherwise it's probably not going to work as effectively, and you're probably going to feel motion sick even though you've taken it, if you didn't take it in time. Also, peppermints may also help with that. So always think about ginger. Anything with ginger in it, ginger ale, ginger snaps, uh, candy ginger, anything that has like the supplement of ginger in it is going to help with nausea. Um, and then also try breathing in mints, ginger, and lavender scents can also help with nausea as well, and curb that motion sickness. The other thing, and kind of getting back to what you eat is important, right? And avoiding strong smells. So you want to make sure that you eat lightly. So some people find that nibbling on plain crackers and sipping cold water or a carbonated drink without caffeine can help with that. I tend to drink a lot of or carry snacks. Crackers are always like in my bags, just to make sure that I have something on my stomach, but something that's really light as well. I do drink ginger ale and things like that, or I try to drink a lot of water. So I always have like a refillable stainless steel bottle. So I always have water on me to drink, uh, which that's important anyways when you fly. And so the other thing is just make sure, again, drink plenty of water, choose low fat, bland, starchy foods before traveling. I do try to eat, healthy and stuff if I can before I take off. But I always have like really good protein snacks like nuts and just things like that. Trail mix. A lot of them have like little crackers or whatever in them and stuff to help settle my stomach. And then above heavy meals and greasy, spicy, or acidic meals that can upset your stomach. So anything that's going to be heavy that you know that is going to, make you not feel the best and things like that, then you want to avoid that. And then don't drink alcohol or smoke, of course. Um, so really kind of just making sure that you're very prepared for travel when you have motion sickness, or if you, like I said, motion sickness was not even a part of the my realm. Like we used to travel by car all the time when I was little. I've never had motion sickness until I was an adult, and I'm not sure exactly what changed that. Um, and things I just it was just a sudden thing for me. I think I started kind of noticing it a little bit when I started driving my daughter to go see her father in Colorado Springs or even halfway and things like that. So I don't know if the drive was just boring or what was happening, but I kind of got it when I was actually driving with it, but never paid too much attention to it and things like that. And it just progressively got worse the older I got. And so for whatever reason, and usually it gets better the older you get, but not in my case. This is like Benjamin Mutton type of thing. Like the older I get or something, it just gets worse for me and stuff. So I'm hoping that whenever I decide to go through menopause, that it just stops altogether. We'll see. Um, the last thing that I really want to tell you, just as a little nugget, um, I've had only two surgeries in my life. And the first one that I had was both of them are actually outpatient procedures, surgeries. And so the first time that I went in to have a surgery before, um, I had a lot of problems coming out. I was on oxygen for a really, really long time. My oxygen level was just low. I really had a hard time waking up from the anesthesia and things like that. And to the point where, and I was just throwing up. I just could not stop, even though I didn't have anything on my stomach. It was just really, really bad. And so it was so much, and they had me in the recovery room for so long that they were like, "We just can't let you go home." And I ended up having to be admitted overnight, and it was just worse. I mean, I had all the pain medicine that I could get, and I just could not stop throwing up until like early the next day. So, what I found out with the second surgery, and this is a totally different hospital, a totally different anesthesiologist, is one of the questions that she asked me, which was not asked with my first surgery, is if I actually suffer from motion sickness. And I'm like, yeah, why do you ask? And she said, well, because the the medication that we use for to put you down um, can make you feel like you have motion sickness. And so because you have a history of motion sickness, we're going to give you Benadryl by IV, I think it's Phenergan, and then another drug in order for you not to have any complications from coming from off the anesthesia. And so I say this to tell you that if you have motion sickness and you have to have a surgery and you are not asked by the anesthesiologist if you have motion sickness, then you should definitely mention it, because that second surgery was way better than the first one, for sure. And if I had known that going in, or if I had been asked that question, then I probably would not have been admitted into the hospital the first time and stuff, because it was a really awful experience, and I just felt really, really bad. And it's really scary to know that you cannot come off of oxygen, that your oxygen level is like super low, that you can't wake up, and things like that, because you weren't asked the correct questions about motion sickness and nobody pre-treated you for it and stuff. But apparently, um, when you're underneath anesthesia, that can actually trigger your motion sickness. So just know that little golden nugget, that I didn't know for the first surgery, but I did find out for the second one and stuff. And I did totally fine, was on oxygen just for a little bit, but went right home like within an hour or so. So, yeah, if you want more information about motion sickness and what the cause is and how to treat it and things like that, definitely get on to Google and Google motion sickness through the Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, and the CDC, because that's where I got this information from, to do this live with you guys. Um, just want to mention to everybody that we do still have spots available for our Ghana, Greece, and Egypt trips. It's only a $50 deposit until December 17th. And so you definitely want to sign up and everything. Not sure when I will do another lower deposit. So it's definitely going to go back up on the 18th. And so if you are interested in going on one of those trips, then definitely secure your spot as soon as possible so that it doesn't sell out before you guys can go. If you go back a few days, either on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram, you'll see me talking about all the upcoming hosted trips that we're doing and giving the full itinerary. You can also go to Urban Chic Travelistas and click on the trips, and then you'll see a page for hosted trips. You can go into each of those trips, and it will actually give you the day-to-day itinerary, the inclusions and exclusions. Also on the page, it'll tell you that as well. But if you want to see it in color as far as the day-to-day itinerary, then you can definitely, there's flip books that are embedded on the pages that you can actually go into and read the day-to-day itinerary and everything. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at info@urbanchictravelistas.com. You can leave a message on any of these videos, and I will definitely respond back, or send me an inbox message on Facebook through Urban Chic Travelistas, um, on Instagram, on that Travelista TaNisha, or Urban Chic Travelistas, or any of my Facebook pages as well. So, you guys have a wonderful evening, and thank you so much for joining me tonight. And I will see you guys tomorrow on time at 7 p.m. on another travel topic. Have a good evening.